All right. All right. I assume you can hear me. All right. I'm kind of shouting a bit. Right. Share screen. This one. Share. All right. We're good. Right. Okay. I think that'll work. Good. Can you hear me? Like, is my mic working? Hello. I'm just kind of talking right now. La 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 la. I'm just gonna keep speaking. Oh, great. Yay. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait around for people to show up. I think this is like the first time I'm actually gonna have someone watching this while I do this thing. So this will be fun. Just gonna wait about another 10 minutes before I start this up. Hope y'all are doing good today. Yeah, okay. Wish I could move my webcam, but I don't know how to do that. Also hope the screen doesn't randomly black out, because that'd be annoying. Let me just send out. Well, I hope you're having a good day, Jupiter Robotics, because I certainly am. Yeah, I got first place. That was pretty cool. Do 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 do. Right. Yeah. Where were you guys at? I can't quite recall. Oh yeah, you guys were the one with space junk. Yeah. I'm not sure if what class you guys would have been put into if she joins. Would you guys have gotten to the Gladiator or like the Amp Pro, you think? Yeah, Gladiator was a tough class. I think, yeah, the Cheesy Doom. No, wait. Dang it, what was the guy's name? Like the kid Seth who has like that front hinge flipper. Yeah, it's Viper. Seth won with his flipper thing, so I know it probably would have been a tough fight if you guys had fought him. I think there were only 6 robots in that class. They did like a round robin style of thing. Like it's I think actually no, they did like a Swiss format, but yeah, not many gladiator robots, so that was cool. 5 more, about 5 minutes. Oop. Yeah. That would have been a cool rematch to see, actually. Maybe next event, you know? Uh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not really sure what to talk about yet because technically, officially, I'm still waiting for people to show up. Yeah, I'm just kind of chilling, to be honest, after the event. Have a kind of a couple of like class homework things I need to work on that I've done like a bunch of them already. Um, and I have like an exam on Friday that I have to prepare for, which I'm not too worried about. So yeah, not much really interesting things happening. Um, I will note that I won't be able to like zoom in on like the robots I show because I'm gonna try and use my camera to show stuff off. I think there's some kind of weird glitch I had when I first did this kind of live streaming where if I switch to the camera, like to be full screen, when I switched back to sharing my screen, it would just go black, but only sometimes. So I don't know what the cause of that was. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm basically how this is gonna work. Is I'm gonna like watch the fights live and just kind of commentate over them as they happen. Uh, and just try and sort of walk y'all through what I was thinking during the fight and kind of what went wrong or what went right in each fight. I do have quite a bit to say about chlorine, as probably evidenced by the pretty dismal performance. Yeah, did not do well at this event. Poor guy. I'm gonna get a water. Actually, that reminds me. Dang, I already have 2 whole people in here. That's more than I think I've ever had during these things. Wait. Yeah, it is more than I've had. uh, do in general receive use videos? I'm just texting some people. 3 minutes. This is gonna be this is gonna be kind of boring to rewatch, probably. Actually, people just like skip the first 10 minutes. Almost there. Oh, 4 people now. Wow. I'm just gonna put this in the chat. Okay, and 2 minutes. Like it's actually supposed to be up 1 minute soon. Top chat. I think I did turn on live replay, thank goodness. So, yeah. Okay. All right, Scrum. I'm just gonna kind of start now, because it's 3:59. I'm just gonna round out any upcoming events planned. Um, Not really. I know there's an event in Miami, like in May, but Miami's like a good 7 or like actually let me check. It's like I know it's like 6 hours from where I am, and I don't think oh there's the classic there's Team Junkyard Dog. Yeah. Anyway, so I know there's an event in Miami that's in May, but the problem with that event that is for me 5.5 hour drive, and that's also during summer. So I'd actually probably be at my parents who live like an hour north. So that's like call it 6.5 hours to drive all the way down to Miami, which I'm not really enthused about doing. So I'm probably not going to do that. And past that, I don't really know what events there will be. If there's one that's in like Central Florida, again, I'd probably go to that. But yeah, that's currently the plan. So anyway, hey Steve and Carter or whoever's watching. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the stream. It is now 4 p.m. So let's get this party started. Okay, so I'm gonna skip kind of the preamble a bit because this is the St. Lucie event in St. Lucie, Florida, at the county fair that they're doing. This event was it meant there's a lot of things I was doing differently for this event than I was most other. Well, I'd made a lot of changes since my last event in November. In November, I'd fought with just Florine, and I went 1-2 in the competition. I got like an extra win eventually. I got another win eventually for a grudge match, but Florian did not do well at all at that November event. It broke its weapon in all 3 of its fights, and that kind of signaled to me that I really need to make a change to the weapon system of this robot. So I realized I couldn't do the just put a weapon on the on like just a generic motor and like screw it on with like a nut. I had to make changes. So I decided to switch over to a hub motor, like an actual proper hub motor, and that meant I had to like redesign the weapon to be a lot smaller or like just like way less because the hub motor weighs a lot more. And so this was the first event for this new configuration of Fluorine. It was also the debut of my brand new beetle weight, Chlorine, which is just Fluorine but fat. And I was really, 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 really excited to debut this thing because I was extremely proud of the design. Like I'd done testing, everything was working. At least I thought everything was working, and I was like, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna go to this event, maybe get like if I can get a win, I'll be happy because I know that it's a new beetle, so something would maybe crop up that I didn't anticipate. So yeah, I honestly didn't really know what to expect from Chlorine, to be honest. So let's, I guess, watch the first fight I had. I hope the audio comes through well. I'm gonna kind of keep it a bit quiet. There we go. Here we go.
There you go.
My first fight, of course, for Chlorine is Big G from Team Junkyard Dog. I'm not exactly that excited because it's a giant drum spinner and they're pretty good, and it's a pretty good driver in Carter, so I'm not too. Oh, jeez, did I say chloride by accident? I might have done that. So yeah, Big G. My plan was to just spin up and try and hit them, and just see what happens. So yeah.
I just started.
There I am. I like the bow of the robot. Looks nice. I have to correct, I think, the announcer guys saying it's fluorine when this is chlorine, not fluorine, even though admittedly they kind of rhyme, so it's confusing, but whatever.
Yeah!
My sister cheers because she's great.
I don't know why.
I'm acting all excited. I'm still really pumped.
All right.
So, fight starts and the weapon immediately doesn't spin up as fast as I'm expecting it to. And it's still not spinning up. And I'm like, what the heck is going wrong? Because I didn't expect this. He hits me once, I get flipped upside down. Then he starts hitting me while I'm upside down, and he clips the weapon motor wires and gets them to actually unplug from the bullet connectors. And I see this happening, I realize I'm dead, so I just decide to tap out prematurely. Yeah, it just tapped out immediately. Wait. No, wait, dang, I wasn't reading the chat, I was busy reacting to the video, I'm dumb. So yeah, that not the best start. I was quite mystified as to why the weapon wasn't working at this point, because during my safety, I noticed the weapon wasn't spinning up fast at all, and I assumed that was because I forgot to charge the batteries, and it turns out I didn't. So I just recharged the batteries, and I assumed that would fix the problem. As you can see, it didn't. And so, yeah, that was a moment right there. I don't really know what else to say. That was just a really terrible fight because nothing really happened. I'm glad you were nervous about the bar guy, junkyard dog. Yeah, that's I guess I'm glad I could instill that fear, but I'm just gonna kind of skip to the end and just tell you right now what the problem was. It turns out that attempting to use the specific hub motor, which is designed for vertical spinners, using it for a horizontal spinner that is this big is not a good idea. It turns out, I guess, because I had tested it, and there's a video on my channel showing this, that it spun up really, really quickly and fine. So I assumed I would have no issues running this weapon with this motor. I think what happened is during testing, I think I just burned out the motor or something. No, I know I did. I burned out the motor completely. Well, partially, I started burning out the motor, and the coils, if you could barely see it, are kind of black. This was after the last fight, which I'll get to eventually, but I'm just telling you now that I basically burned out my weapon motor trying to spin this weapon, and the problem didn't really rear its head until the event. So, yeah, that's why the weapon wasn't spinning. It was not well. The weapon, I basically hadn't spec'd the motor properly, and yeah, I'm railing at the point. I'm just gonna skip to the next fight. Basically, this was sad, and I don't know. I think at the time I thought it was like the ESC was broken, so I tried to switch to a different ESC. I'm gonna skip to the next fight. Okay, so next fight. This one was Florian's fight. Technically, okay, wait. It says this is Florian's first fight, but technically speaking, Florian was already 1-0 at this point because I had my first opponent was some guy named Yowzy or something by like the Florida Poly team. It was like some kind of overhead spinner, I think. And they ended up forfeiting their first fight, which meant that I immediately I got to win, and this is my new opponent, my actual first fight. So I was already 1-0. So my first proper fight with Florian with this brand new hub motor was against a robot called Free Noogies. And the thing with Free Noogies is an overhead attack robot. And the one issue with this current version of Florian that I never really had a chance to, didn't really have time to fix, was the weapon motor wires are very, 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 very exposed on the top of the robot. This is because for hub motors, the wires come out the top of the motor instead of like out the side, so I can't really route them under the like metal support there. If I'd had more time to think and maybe time to plan out things, I probably could have redesigned this weapon frame to have like a wider like a bigger area here where there'll be another like a hole that I could pass these weapon wires down into and then route them under the chassis. I just kind of didn't think of that, and also just didn't really have the time to do that. So I was kind of stuck doing this in order to keep the wires like out of the way from me trying to like wrap them around like that, and it would have gotten in the way of the weapon. So basically, this top attack robot could have like sniped the wires easily because they're a pretty juicy target. So for this fight, I decided to start the fight upside down because then he can't really throw his weapon into me because he'll hit my weapon, and that was my plan going into this one. So let's get this party started and watch the fight. Again, I am really proud of how glowy the robot is when it's, under the neon lights. Again, kind of skipping ahead. Okay, here we go. So yeah, I'm going around. I'm trying to basically hit his front. So there I got like stuck on my side and had to kind of do some awkward drive forward backward maneuver to get back on my wheels, which unfortunately I ended up landing on back right side up. And I was like, oh no, this is gonna suck because now I'm not really as well protected because now my wires are exposed. And also it turns out that this robot right here had won the previous Robot Renegades event, like I think back in January or something, like down in West Palm Beach, I think. They were like the reigning champions kind of, which is pretty cool. I didn't know that at the time. So yeah. Back on my wheels. I get stopped there. I kind of start running away to like get the weapon back up to speed. Turn it around again. Driving. Land some good shots. I'm really trying to avoid like not moving for as long as possible. Like I'm trying to keep myself moving so I don't get pinned and he can bring his hammer saw down on me, which would be bad. So that's just kind of being awkward with the camera, but it's all good. Get good hit there. Get good hit there. Nice. I land an awkward shot here that sends me onto the lip of the pit, which is bad. And so I'm a little bit nervous because he's about to bring down the hammer saw on me as I'm basically in a perfect position to get sniped. And what happens next, I'm not really sure what happens next. Like I've watched this fight back and I'm still confused. Somehow when he fires his weapon, I think he actually doesn't really hit anything on me except for maybe my wheel. He like leaps over me and like pushes me off the pit and he throws himself into the pit. So everyone starts celebrating. I'm still struggling to get out off the pit. Still trying, still struggling. Now I finally get off. I run away. I immediately spin the weapon back up because I realize he could possibly get out of the pit, which is like, oh no. Spin up again. Position. Turns around. And he backs out because of course he does. I then send him right back into the pit. I try to go for a little taunt there, which I think it works pretty well. And from then, and I get in position again, but I think at this point, like his weapon wires that run to the motor had gotten like stuck in his gear mechanism, and he couldn't move the arm anymore, and he was also pinned on his own weapon.
Oh no! You do it again?
And so I win that fight by knockout. Yay! I did get some parts, by the way, from my opponents, and also from this fight in particular. Let me get them out to share. Here, I think this is how it is. This is a wedge that I like bent up and damaged, as you can see. Pretty nice, thanks to him. And also there's this side armor piece that I also ripped up pretty well. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Got these two wonderful little parts. So yeah, Flooring is now technically at 2-0 because again, forfeit win. which great. This indicates to me that the new hub motor is working flawlessly. Um, yeah, so not much to say there. Next fight is Chlorine's second fight. Which facing another Team Junkyard Dog robot. In the form of Drum Gun, which is like a four-wheel drive drum spinner, as you can clearly see. And I really was not all too like enthused about fighting another drum spinner because like again, they're just hard to fight. And again, I was also dealing with the weapon not working. I just still at this point wasn't really sure why it wasn't working. And so I had actually um I had switched I at the time, like at this moment in time during the event, I thought that the ESC was just broken or something. And so I had asked around, and one of the other UF teammates, I think Caden, had an extra ESC he lended me. So I put on some wires, I put it in the robot, I tried to spin up the weapon in a test box, and it spun up, but it spun up slowly, but it actually got up to a pretty high speed. So I figured I'd try my luck here. And this is yeah, let me just kind of get past the intros.
2, 1.
Weapon actually gets up to some decent speed, and then but admittedly it doesn't get up to a good enough speed, so I immediately flipped over my drum gun. I get launched into the ceiling and then hit the ceiling because, of course, robot's still working though. Kind of.
Come on.
I try to spin the weapon back up at this point. I'm frantically like going full throttle on the remote, and the weapon isn't moving at all at this point. I can hit again, and at this point the screw switch in the back of the robot decided to just mercy kill Chlorine to prevent it from taking more emotional damage, which yeah, then I tapped out yeah. So yeah, that was even worse than the last fight because at least in the last fight I could still technically move. Yeah, this yeah, not the way I want this robot to debut at all. But at least I hit the ceiling, so that counts for something. Yeah, I honestly have nothing else to say. Hold on. Yo, it's your boy. Ignore that. That's the vlog. I don't know why I'm using a playlist right now. All right. So, day 1 didn't go well. And so prior to day 2, when we went back to the hotel, I brought Chlorine with me to try and fix it with the help of Caden, who's also on the team. Again, Caden's cool. And he offered like help me try and fix the robot. And we came to the conclusion that the weapon was just too big for the motor I was using, and that was why I was having issues. Yeah, again, if the robot had been working actually working like the weapon was actually working, I think that fight would have been a lot better. I probably still would have lost, but at least I would have put up an actual fight. Yeah, that's the hope. I think I have a plan for how I'm going to fix this robot for the next event. I'll get into that at the end though, but I do have a plan. So we spent a couple hours kind of just talking about robots and kind of how you're supposed to properly spec your motors, and when you're calculating out the weapon tip speed, you want to make something that gets up to like 300 miles an hour tip speed. Like that's a good tip speed to have. And the calculations for my weapon came out to a tip speed of almost 600 miles an hour, which is a little too much, especially for this poor motor, which was, I think at that point we realized that was probably burning itself out. And so, he'd also lent me another ESC. Wait, no. Yes, he did. He offered me another ESC to use, and he even started it up for me. I just had to give it to him at the end of the event because it was his. And we got the robot back working, but I basically would have to use a different weapon. And thankfully, someone at the competition actually had a spare, like, just cause blade that's meant for this actual motor. And the guy who owned it, Jeremy, offered to give it to me for some money, and today, this day, day 2, I went up to him, gave him $20, and I got myself a little weapon that actually worked for the for that motor. I put it in, and I did like a test spin up in the test box, and the weapon actually got to speed, which was incredible. So that was good. Anyway, that was chlorine. Fluorine, on the other hand, I wasn't too worried about. It was working well, no issues at all. It was all good. I'm trying to remember order of fights here. So this fight was against Nick, who was also on the Florida Poly team. He was fighting me with I'm okay, which he was using a vertical spinner configuration that was originally I thought he was going to use like a bunch of forks and like a wedge to fight me, but he decided to go for a vert to make it more chaotic or something. I don't recall his reasoning, but yeah, he's a pretty confident dude, really good driver, really good builder, and I was again kind of nervous going into this fight because again, I'm not that good at driving my robots, so I was worried about getting pinned or thrown into the pit or something. Anyway, let's see how this goes.
You and I
give a good shake of the hand because I want to, I want to have good fights. There's my family in the background, which is great.
I just started.
More glowy stuff. Let's get the fight. All right, start a fight. Up, he spins out. I tried to avoid I try to keep my weapon pointed at him. He spins around a little bit. Get him there. I'm being careful, don't want to go into the wall. Side. Accidentally hit the wall.
Oh,
I rip off one of his forks. And now his weapon's a bit wobbly because I guess I broke the mount or something. Again. Again. And I think that's the hit that takes off his weapon. Like the actual blade, it like came off.
Get his ass.
I'm trying to do a bit of a taunt because I'm trying to be cool, even though I'm not.
I mean, no.
My sister swears because she is in the heat of the moment, which is cool or whatever.
Bad language.
I keep ripping stuff up. And at this point, I realize his weapon's off. So as long as I don't mess this up and I keep myself pointed towards him, I should be okay.
Okay.
And that's kind of the rest of the thing.
All right.
Basically, my weapon pointed at him. A bit loud.
Yeah.
More parts flying off.
Okay.
I can make a comment about that at some point. And just trying to be careful, because again, fluorine can just sometimes do that where it just flips itself over because it's a well-built robot. I don't know. Anyway. So I'm upside down, but I'm still trying to be careful. Gently. It's not gentle. Another part flies off.
You got this, Darren.
Another part flies off. Get gyroed up. And at this point, I think around a good bit into the fight, I noticed that the weapon is starting to spin up a little bit slower than normal. Like it's kind of subtle, but I'm starting to notice it's starting to just not really spin up as quickly. And I think I know actually that's because the battery I'm using is starting to run out of power. For this fight and for all the preceding fights, I was using a 3S 380 milliamp hour battery, which I think is just enough like to get to the end of a fight and have everything still work. But it's starting to get a bit sluggish, and you're going to notice that sluggishness kind of start to happen at the end. Yeah, the announcer actually got it on the head. Battery issues. Hit him again. I'm now back right upside. Hit him again. Try to be gentle. Hit him again. Again, it's not much to compensate. Just be hitting him.
You're goated, Darren. You're goated. Yes.
How many parts are on your motor?
There's me commenting about the parts on the motor because I think I've hit that weapon motor like around 6 times and parts are still coming off even though it's been kind of destroyed at this point. So that's pretty cool. I actually also have that weapon motor with me. I'll show it in a second. So yeah, weapon still going, trying to keep myself pointed at him. Yeah, you can definitely start to see the weapons starting to swim up a little slower.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and that is a match.
All right, so fight ends. I'm given the victory by the judges, and that's great. Here's the weapon motor from him. Nick even signed it, and he even misspelled the robot's name, like literally everyone does. Oh, wait, and also, yay! Yeah, look at that. That is some nice damage. I hope that's coming through clearly. Oh, yeah, that's a lot of good, solid damage right there. Right. Okay. So, after this fight, I decided I could see kind of I saw that the road was starting to be a bit like the weapon was starting to spin up a lot slower, like starting like halfway through the fight actually. And so, realizing this could be a problem, I decided to switch to my 450 milliamp hour battery that I had with me, which I hadn't been using, partially because I didn't think I could fit it into the robot, and also because I was worried about weight. Yes, that's how you spell it. Good job. Feel free to like ask any more questions or comment more. Again, I'm still kind of new at this. I'm not your level of professionalism. I don't know what the term is. Anyway, yeah. So I switched to the 450 milliamp hour battery after this to prevent this very thing from happening again, which was the weapon starting to kind of peter out near the end. Right. Oh, this is gonna be a fun fight for you guys, Steve. This is the fight against Tyrone, which is our. Yeah, thank you. I was doing pretty well at this point. I was now 3-0, again counting that forfeit at the start of the event. Now I'm facing Tyrone for what feels like the. Let's see, one. I don't know. I think it's just like the 4th or 5th time we fought, but third time. This is my, I think, 3rd fight of the event. Yep, that's the robot Tyrone. This was the Thagomizer style robot, which is pretty cool. I thought it was a really nice little machine you had. So, okay, right. So I switched to the different battery, charged it up. It was in weight. We were all good. Yes, this is I think our like 4th rematch, and also it was my 3rd fight against a junkyard dog robot at this one event. I guess we're destined to be rivals or something. So my plan. I knew that because of how my robot is designed, I ran the risk of that Thagomizer thing at the back of Tyrone or front of Tyrone. I don't know. I faced I faced the risk of that weapon possibly sniping the wires on top of the robot or the motor or something. So my plan here was to keep so weapons on the back. So my plan was to keep my weapon kind of facing you guys at all time, facing Tyrone, and try to kind of maintain a bit of a distance so that if you tried the whole swing maneuver, instead of hitting my wheel, you'd hit my weapon, and that would be better than the wheel. And also my goal was to keep you guys right side up for as long as possible, because if you guys are flipped over, your weapon can now more easily strike the wires. That was my plan going into this. So let's just kind of.
Careful, like move your hand off. Like
It's not covering. It's not covering.
Yes, I also do horizontal ones, buddy. Okay, here we go. So, well, both floats spin up nicely.
Got this.
I'm really being nice and slow because I do not want to make a mistake. Final ping the wedge.
Rip him up.
Nice shot there. Careful. Oh. Again, being.
All right.
Yep. Okay, good shot
Nice
there.
Nice.
Again, slow and steady. I'm trying to be.
Oh.
Not as slow and steady there. I get like launched, but still fine. Everything's fine. Good. Nice spark. Good. And this is the shot, I think. Yeah, I managed to get a nice shot on the side and rip off one of the wheels. I want to keep the wedge on you. Yeah, I do. Again, that's a good strategy actually. You're facing flooring because I have a lot of reach. So yeah, I managed to get a nice shot on the side and I hit the wheel off, and I'm like, yes, because it's like the fight easier and I can be more effective or something.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, good shot there. I'm actually kind of looking closely at this fight because I'm trying to figure out when. Like I know Tyrone gets a good shot at me at some point. So now,
Nice there,
unfortunately,
nice.
I actually say, "Oh crap," because now you're upside down, and guess what? That means now you can snipe my weapon. You can snipe my weapon motor wires, which is bad. So I'm now being exceptionally careful. I like sneak in, careful, easy does it. Again,
Even B.
I really don't want to make a mistake here because I'm not spun fast enough. So I, boom, nice good shot there. Is that the shot? I'm trying to look. Yeah, I'm being careful. That's why I'm not really going in for the kill because I really, really, really don't want to mess this up. So I'm being nice and slow.
Nice work.
Being careful. Wait a second. I think this is the shot. Hold on. There we go. This is the shot. Okay. I think at this moment, you guys, Tyrone lands a perfect shot on my wheel. Almost. If you can see right there, they land a beautiful hit that slices through the wheel and the chassis and actually dented up a screw the screw that's right here. Not this particular screw, I replaced it, but lands a beautiful shot that goes right through the wheel, right glances the hub, and had that hit been like a couple of like millimeters to the more closer to the wheel, that probably would have gotten ripped off, or I probably would have lost the motor, and that would have made the fight a lot more difficult, and I probably could have lost. Yeah, I might actually send. I completely forgot to like send a picture of this on like my Instagram or whatever, but that right there is. I'm actually gonna probably take a picture of that and put it on the YouTube page. I have to remember to do that. In fact, I'll probably do it like kind of. I'll do it later because I'm recording now, but I will put a picture up because this was a beautiful hit, absolutely beautiful hit. Also, there was actually Tyrone got another hit at some point. I don't know specifically when, where they landed this great direct hit onto the weapon motor. Like that gouge, not that one down there, but like the big one in the middle of my camera. That was a shot from Tyrone. It landed a perfect shot right on the motor, and it just shrugged it off and just kept spinning, which it's really validating my decision to move to a hub motor, which is great. However, also at this point in time, I start having drive issues, not on the wheel that was hit, but on my other wheel, because there's two screws that mount the drive motor to the actual chassis, and one of them had backed out enough to start interfering with like the metal hub I was using for the wheel. And so occasionally it would like the wheel would get caught on it and lock up, which made driving even harder. Which made driving just hard. Like it happens like right here. See, I start kind of crab walking a little bit.
You got this.
But then it frees up sometimes, so I can't even crab walk really. I'm also again trying to be careful so I don't get like another direct hit on the wheel or something. Again, being careful. I'm also getting dealing with drive issues, so this last part of the fight isn't really as good.
So Tyrone, one wheel, weaponless, 30 seconds left.
So yeah, I'm struggling to like get it there. I'm thinking I broke the motor or something, but I didn't. Still trying my best here. Occasionally the robot drive. Again, it's really hard.
I don't think so. Keep going.
Actually, wait, hold on. I almost skipped this.
Yeah.
I ask, wait, is the fight over? Because for some reason I heard like the bell ringing and like a lot of cheering, and I assumed that meant the fight was over. That's why I actually asked, because I didn't want to accidentally late hit someone, because that'd be kind of bad.
I don't think so. Keep going.
Steve's a great
Chlorine
joker.
question one more time. Beats another
Nice work, Darren.
Still struggling. Then
10 seconds.
I land an absolutely perfect shot that rips out the wheel and motor assembly out of Tyrone on the other side, which KOs him technically. And I don't know if this is a technical judge decision because there wasn't enough time left to count him out. So.
Nice.
I'm gonna turn your radio off.
Nice fight.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna wait. So yeah, that was a pretty good fight. I ended up winning, obviously, because I still worked mostly after the fight was over. But yeah. Drive issue was again easy to fix. I just took off the left side wheel and just tightened the screws down, and wheel was fine again. And yeah, aside from like the gouge out of the motor and like the slice in the wheel and side of the chassis, I was pretty much fine. In fact, I'm still using that same wheel because I kind of just forgot to replace it, and also I didn't really feel like it. So yeah, weapon was again I thought that was a really good fight. Great fight against Tyrone, terrifying robots, and I look forward to seeing what that thing can do in the future because that Thagomager style flip and turn idea is just is good. Okay, so bit of a long story here. Technically, every robot at this event was guaranteed 3 fights because they're using like a Swiss format. Chlorine technically only got 2 fights in the actual tournament because it actually got a bye as its 3rd fight. So technically Chlorine went 1 and 2 in the bracket. Unfortunately, or fortunately actually, because Chlorine was not gonna win any other fights after this, or was win any fights, period. 1 and 2 wasn't good enough to get into the round of 16, so Chlorine was out. However, I'd finally gotten the weapon to work. At least to me, I thought it was working. So I wanted to have at least just one grudge fight just to see how the robot would react to delivering a hit that was actually kind of big. Thankfully, there was one robot there who actually was also out and was willing to actually do a grudge match with me. Godspeed here, who was run by Ned from the UF team. And he, even though he didn't have any weapon, he offered to just let me fight him, and because he wanted to see how well his robot could take a hit, like test its durability. And so that's how this fight came about. Managed to sneak in this little grudge match during the bracket, which is great. All right. I'm just gonna skip to the start of the fight because it's kind of, you notice the almost comically small weapon on Chlorine because that was the only weapon that worked. So it looks kind of pathetic. Geez. Anyway, here we go.
3,
2, 1.
fight.
I spin up. I'm feeling fantastic. I landed a hit there.
I'm not sure.
I tried to go for Thagomager styles
Toby
thing.
or somebody else.
shot
Darren,
there.
give it a little more beans.
All right, so again, grudge match.
Trying to spin up the weapon again.
Darren, where are the beans?
Come on, Darren.
Everyone's cheering.
Speed it up. All right, so apparently we had some technical difficulties there. And Godspeed
I
taken
get
to the
sensed
wall.
again. A couple tiny shots, and I get stuck on top of him.
I do believe they are stuck.
Darren, you can't. You gotta turn your weapon on, dude. Okay.
Caden proceeds to, I guess we get unstuck, and Caden, who's filming, gives it to someone else to film, and he comes up next to me to start giving me some advice on how to not suck when I'm really actually trying to give the weapon the beans. But this fight was basically the last time this poor abused weapon motor worked, and like pretty much exactly halfway through the fight, it finally just gives up and just dies completely. And then what's left is like another minute of me bumbling around, awkwardly bumping into Godspeed, since neither of us can really do anything to each other because Chlorine is a horizontal without a horizontal anymore. Wait, Chlorine is a horizontal without the weapon, so it's just it doesn't have like a wedge on the back to do anything with. And Godspeed has no weapon but a wedge, so he just begins pushing me around. So yeah.
All right. 2, 1, fight.
So
again, Godspeed in the purple and
full props to Nick for just letting me have some time to figure out what the heck was going on.
Chlorine in the multicolors. Yeah, no, go.
Okay, so I finally get the weapon up to full speed. I actually decided to get up to full power.
All right, so I'm hearing that the weapon on chlorine broke. Oh, well, there you go, Darren.
Like,
so
look,
this is kind of a modified
even with a
version.
tiny blade, it was able to send Godspeed like into the wall, which was actually kind of impressive. Unfortunately, I think that's the last hit this weapon was actually gave, because after this it just gives up. Like, it twitches a little and that's it.
Not sure if it's still running or not.
Yeah, this is really sad.
45 seconds remain.
You got one good one in there too.
So audience, remember, you're the judge.
You gotta put it up slow. You can't just flick your stick like that. You gotta start low and then go up slow.
Low and slow is the key.
He's really trying to get away, but the weapon is just not responding. Yeah, at this point, it's decided spit and spin. Let's go.
10 seconds left. No, 24. Yeah, I see how you're doing. We actually have 19 seconds left.
3 minutes left.
3 minutes left. We'll see you guys tomorrow. This one goes until 6. You guys got enough battery for that? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
And also, just for fun, the left side wheel decides to lock up right at the end. Yeah, that fight sucked. I have really nothing to say. Yeah. Turns out sometimes bigger is not always better, and yeah, I don't really know what to say about this one. This was just really sad to watch. Yeah, weapon just sucked. Motor was completely burnt out at the end when we actually afterwards, Caden and I, well, mostly Caden, cracked open the weapon to see what was wrong, and he said he actually recoiled when he opened it up because the smell of motor smoke was that bad. Like, yeah, I could even smell it on like the dang bearing thing. But I did see potential. Like, when I actually was able to hit Godspeed, I did actually send him pretty far, and I was still pretty controllable. So I know this can work. I just was dumb and decided to go a bit too far with it. This size weapon can actually be effective in as a horizontal spinner. So my plan is I'm going to make a new weapon that's a lot smaller. That's probably about this size. I might just reuse this actually, and start fighting with this. However, Caden and I kind of discussed this design and how to make it better, and something I want to do in the future, and what the plan is with chlorine, is I'm going to turn it into Thagomizer, pretty much. I'm going to, like, add a wedge to the back, kind of shrink the chassis a bit, maybe lengthen the CF carbon fiber a bit, make the weapon smaller, but make the robot a lot more drivable, and just basically make it Thagomizer, but in the 3-pound class, so I can start swinging my weapon around and smacking people, because I know about it, that is a very effective robot design when it's done well, and I think I can pull it off. The one problem is I already ordered a bunch of parts that fit this version of chlorine, so I'm gonna basically kind of just sort of start testing things. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna make a smaller weapon for this robot and just kind of start to test out some of the things I want to do on the full redesign. I'm gonna maybe make a basic wedge or some forks that go on the back, and just see how they perform. Just kind of test fork designs, test weapon shapes. Maybe I'm thinking, and my hope eventually when I redesign this robot, it's gonna look quite a bit different. I think there's going to be like a dedicated titanium wedge on the back. It's going to basically look like Thagomizer pretty much, like, except without the dinosaur theming. It's going to still be chlorine, but Thagomizer shaped kind of. So yeah, that's my my plan for this robot is going to be to turn to Thagomizer. Long story short. But yeah, I'll admit I was kind of really disappointed with how the debut went, because I was really excited to actually, have a working beetle that had like a really good weapon. It was gonna like destroy things. It's gonna be great, but that didn't happen at all. So well. Moving on, Florian on the other hand
Glory.
was doing amazingly. I'm trying to remember. Okay, so this is fight 4. So the last fight was like the first round of the tournament. This is the second round of the tournament. I think this is the quarterfinals, I want to say. Yeah, this was the quarterfinals. And I was facing, yet again, the classic. You know him, you love him. Team Junkyard Dog with FaZe Dodo. Fadodo. I don't know what that means. I assume it's French for victory or whatever. But I was facing this guy who was a 4-wheel drive vertical spinner, with like a hub motor as well, like I was using. And the plan for this fight was to avoid the front, like try to get hits on the side, just trying to avoid that big mean vertical spinner. And hopefully I would just kind of avoid getting hit. Fadodo means okay. I did not know that. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think the thing is I don't think they were using forks in this fight. I don't think they actually had a wedge, or maybe they did. I forgot to ask if they / you guys had like a anti-horizontal configuration that you just didn't have at the time, or if you didn't have one at all, or no wedge. Yeah. So yeah, they're running forks, and again, they have a pretty big mean vert, so I was like kind of nervous. Just a clue. Yeah, I noticed that. I kind of noticed that at the start, like before the fight when we were loading in. I recall seeing you saying that the forks were held in with some hot glue. Anyway, fight time. Here we go.
These are the number 4 and 5 ranked bosses.
Oh yeah, number 4 and 5. Nice. So yeah, there's that. I mean, that just looks cool, man. That just looks cool.
Respectfully, I think we're moving on to the semifinals.
It was an impulse build. Lol. All right, so
let's do this in 3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Fight.
Okay, spins up. All spin up. Being careful. Nice and slow.
And
Rip off some forks. Rip off another fork.
2 forks come off.
Nice.
4 forks come off.
Nice.
A wheel comes off.
Again, being
gosh,
careful.
this is not going well.
Almost let him get the side there.
Belt.
Florian
Who needs wheels?
He sent a nice, beautiful shot, sends us across the arena. He's upside down. I move in.
There's forks. There's wheels.
Again.
There's belts. Oh my.
And then Fadodo sends himself into the pit.
Oh my goodness.
And I shout, "Oh my goodness," because he like split himself open.
I know. I turned it off. Don't worry.
Yeah. Also, this is a nice shot. Kaden, damn, he's good at this. Anyway.
8, 7.
Yeah. Dang, I missed the start. Hold on. Don't worry, Team Combat Robots. You didn't really miss too much. It was mostly just depression of watching Florian fail to work and Florian getting a couple good hits in. Let's do hot glue. Oh, jeez. So yeah, yeah.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, he does a quick count up because I don't think. Yeah, I think it would have been not a good idea to continue the fight. So I won. Fado, though, sadly split in half on the edge of the pit. Honestly, I do like this robot. Like, I really, really like the vert. I know it's like a design you can get online, but I honestly like the shape of the thing. I think it's has a lot of potential. And I think if you guys decide to like iterate on it and bring it back to like other competition, this thing will do really well. He left the party. I look forward to seeing it. I can't wait. Hey, maybe we can have like a rematch and fun stuff will happen. Yay. All right, so that fight ended. To the next one, which is the semifinals.
Yeah.
And so, my fifth opponent, well, technically sixth, but fifth actual fight, is Skylift, who I've actually fought at split decision. Gosh darn it. Anyway, so Skylift. Fun fact, at the previous running of this event back in 2024, I'd actually faced Skylift, I think, like in the quarterfinals of that event, I think. Or like it was the loser bracket. It was in the loser bracket. And I faced him for a chance. I can't remember. I think it was like a chance for. That is impressive. You didn't have a wedge built to in a couple days. Wow, that is quick. I mean, you still got pretty far. You got like to like the quarterfinals with that thing. So good work. It's farther than I've gotten with like a robot that took me months to build sometimes. Right. Okay, this fight. Last year, I faced Skylift at the same event, just last year. In that fight, I was doing pretty well, and I won that fight by judge decision. But something that happened during that last fight was I started to like struggle with driving the robot while spinning up the weapon because turns out I was running the battery a bit too low, or like the battery weight wasn't big enough to last the full 2 minutes. So I was starting to have issues driving and spinning up at the same time near the end, which I think probably almost cost me the fight. So this time around, I put in a bigger battery, and I was hopeful that that would mean I would be able to be a lot more aggressive and more effective for the entire 2 minutes. Let us see how this went. And I'm pretty nervous because, again, wedge flipper, they're pretty defensive. He could flip me over and flip me into the pit. It's always a possibility. I'm also in the red square for once because Colin, who drives Skylift, wanted the blue square, so it's fine.
That's okay.
Okay, so here we go. I spin up, and basically my goal is keep the weapon pointed at him, like always, and just try to be careful.
Oh, nice.
I flipped over a little. Put shots in. I might not talk too much for this one, I'll be honest.
Oh!
Hold on, wait. Your 3S in the spot. Yeah, I use a 400. I was using a 450 milliamp hour battery from in this fight and in the preceding from fights. I think for my last, I want to say 3 fights, I was using a 3S 450 milliamp hour battery. At the start of the event, I was using a 380 milliamp hour battery, which was technically enough, but the robot started to get a bit sluggish in the terms of the weapon near the end of fights. So I switched to the bigger one to prevent that from happening because you don't want to lose like aggression or whatever. So yeah, 3S 450 Maz. 4S 450. Wow. Overkill? No, I never really run the weapon above like around 50% on fluorine. Like I think sometimes I'll bump it up to like 70, but yeah, normally I run it around 50 to 70%. It's not really wide open. I mean, I think that if there was like some kind of middle ground between 450 and 380, I'd go for a battery that's like that size, but like the more the merrier. Besides, I have the weight to run a bigger battery, so I will run a bigger battery. You know, it's like it gets rid of a possible point of failure with those sort of things. So yeah. Anyway, right, fine. So again, Colin is great at talking about driving.
Get out of the way. Uh-oh.
I try to
This
help
is
him.
battle. No help.
Get kind of stuck on him, get a good shot there. Nice spin move.
Uh-oh.
I keep like getting under him, which is pretty impressive considering I'm not designed to be an undercutter entirely. Again, being careful, nice and slow. Turn around.
Ooh, an interesting one.
And just not really much to comment on, I'll be honest. Just trying to be
And
nice and methodical.
nice.
I get flipped over because, of course, I do.
You prevent my scoop. Thank you very
Hold on, I like this comment from Colin. Like, I just want to make a note of it.
You prevent my scoop. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm just proud of that in-fight banner. Like, I know I know it's like a small thing, but I'm really proud of that. How do you mount your weapon to the motor? Do you have a hub or the way I mount the hub, the weapon to the motor is, if you'll see here, the bottom of the motor has like a kind of pattern, and so the weapon has a hole that fits that outline pattern. And so I put it on, and then there are 4 screws that go into holes that are like in the pattern. And those screws hold the weapon onto the motor. So yeah, it's not really. I mean, it could be press fit if you tighten up the tolerances between the size of the pattern in the blade and the pattern on the motor. You can like make it like really tiny, make them like exactly the same size. So you have to kind of like hammer the weapon onto the motor to make it more secure. I actually made the cutout a little bit bigger so it'd be easy to put on, but it holds up really nicely. Like, I pretty much had no issues. The screws will hold for the 2-minute fights. You just have to like check them after every fight to like make sure it's all nice and tight. And it's a pretty good system. So yeah, that's how I do it. Anyway, fight. So yeah, banter. It's great.
30 seconds.
Okay, nice step there. Now I'm upside down, which causes that to happen because I wasn't paying attention.
You got this. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, Florine's method of self. No, all right. Yeah, I'm no longer running an Outrunner drone motor. I kind of hit the limit of what that motor can handle in terms of force because the shaft started snapping off in every single fight I was having with it. So that's what made me do the switch to the Repeat Robotics hub motor. But yeah. Anyway, Florine. So you'll notice here that Florine's method of self-righting is just hit things and hope that in the chaos of it reacting to the hits, it'll land on on the right side again, which it did.
Got this.
Is that effective? No. Do I care? No, it's funny. And the robot's at a point where it can survive its own impact, which is good.
Got this. Get a nice hit. Nice hit. Oh.
15 seconds.
Oh, that was nice. You got him stuck. Nice, Darren.
My sister being a licensed supporter.
Nice.
I can't even get.
All right.
So that there's like a bit of Carter, Ben, Junkyard Dog. Oh, there's Carter. I should also mention something else I forgot to mention up to this point. I've forgotten to mention something. On Florine, this current version, right now, the robot sits at a slight downward tilted angle because the shoulder bolt for the motor is it's like shorter than where the wheels sit on the ground. So basically, if I hold the robot flat, the weapon is at a slight tilt. To fix this, I'd actually designed a little kickstand of sorts that sat like, you'll notice that the shoulder bolt has like a little tiny bit of space between like the bottom of the head of the bolt and the like bottom of the motor. And I designed like a little disc, like a little like kind of like a bowl that had like a hole in it that I would slide when I was putting on the shoulder bolts. I would put it on, then put the shoulder bolt through the motor and put on the nut at the top, which means that this little kickstand thing would be kind of secured in that little space between the bottom of, like in that little area, there'd be like a little plastic piece that would then like wrap around the bolt here and come down, and basically it would prop the robot up and keep it level, like the blade would be parallel to the ground instead of like at an angle. That I only made one of these, and I made it out of PLA because I forgot to make it out of TPU. Like I kept saying to myself, I should make another one of these little kickstand things because I'll probably lose this one, but I never did. And so right at the end of this fight, the little kickstand breaks off, and you can kind of see it right there at the bottom. That's the remains of it. And so now the rope was like at an angle. I go into this a little bit of a side tangent because it kind of made me worried for my next fight because I was worried that the angle would cause the robot to become pretty like unstable or something, and it wouldn't hit where I wanted it to hit. Anyway, so the judges gave me this fight, which put me at 6-0. Again, counting that forfeit at the start of the event, which meant that I was now in the finals, which I didn't anticipate at all. Like I assumed that I would get like I would go like 3-2 because I was testing a pretty new version of the robot because I was using a new hub motor. So I thought that something would go wrong and I'd lose and go 3-2 like I normally do. So let me actually get to the next fight. Right. So final fight, and I'm facing Jordan now, and like I'm trying. Let me attempt to sort of walk y'all through what I was thinking at this point. At this point in the competition, every other robot on the UF team was out. In every other weight class, they were out. Temporal Terror, who built by Adam, who I thought was going to win the whole thing, had gotten knocked out before they even got to the podium stage, which sucked because Temporal Terror is a really good robot. And again, every other robot on the team was out, except for me, which just felt so strange. Like, I'm not the kind of I feel like that shouldn't happen. Like, I'm not the guy who's supposed to be like the last man standing, sort of, I guess, in terms of UF getting like a podium finish. I usually think that's like Adam's thing, like, because he's really good at building robots. Caden as well, like, pretty much everyone else there. Like, I don't know why I'm really going into like a bit of a side tangent about this, but like, it just felt weird to be like have a robot that was working this well, because normally mine don't. Because remember, I just come off of the November event where I went 1-2, and Florian just sucked the whole time, and so to suddenly go from that to I'm now in the final, I'm the only UF bot in the final, was just I don't think I have the words to describe how weird that felt. Like, it just felt weird. Like, at this point, yeah, I'm reading the comments. Thanks, guys. Like, at this point, I'm guaranteed a second place finish, which, wow. So, Jordan. I'm facing Jordan in the finals. Again, thank you for the comments. That genuinely does mean a lot. Thanks, guys. It's turn. So yeah, Jordan. I had faced Jordan twice prior to this. The first time was back in 2020. I want to say 2023, I think, in November, like during the Maker Faire Orlando. And I faced it with like the first ever version of Florian that looked kind of like this. And I'd lost in like 10 seconds after the weapon was broken and I lost a wheel. The second time I faced him, I had this giant wedge on the front of the robot to like defend against his spinner. And that didn't go well. The wedge got like bent under one of the wheels, and also one of the wheels, like the latex on it, came off and got sucked into his weapon, which means I had to forfeit, which I was fine to do because I still to this day feel bad about that. Like, I didn't intend for that to happen, but the latex just peeled off because I wasn't using I wasn't using like liquid cement to like treat the wheels before putting on the latex. So yeah, I did that. I do that now, and the latex basically never comes off the wheels, which is good. So yeah, I was 0-2 against Jordan, and I did not expect to win this fight. Full stop. I thought I was going to lose horribly because it's Jordan. he had also, I think he was also, no, he wasn't undefeated, but he was like pretty good. He had been on like a tear the entire event. So I was terrified of, I was kind of scared of facing him. And yeah. So my plan was to just try to outreach him and keep the weapon pointed at him as much as I could and just try my hardest to put on a good show. So here we go. Try to go for a little spirit kind of thing. Oh boy, here we go. Spin up, little spin up. Being careful. Weapon towards him, weapon towards him. Right there. Weapon towards him. Oh, careful. Overcorrect there a bit. Avoided. I think at that point he actually gets a shot on like the weapon frame that like cuts it at like a perfect angle. I'll show the damage at the end, but like that was a good shot there. Carefully. Again, I'm really trying to not mess this up. Okay, so at this point, I think a lot of things happen. Number one, I hit his weapon motor and disable it. Second thing is he hits my left side wheel and cuts a pretty big chunk, as you can hopefully see right there. Yeah, he cuts a chunk off that doesn't fully separate from the wheel. It's like still attached by like the outer latex, and that starts making driving really hard. This makes driving really difficult because now the robot's bouncing up and down with the weapon spinning, which kind of messes up the stability of it. Like right there. Like there as well. So I kind of like stop for a second to kind of like refocus myself, and he takes his chance to like bump into me. So yeah, again, still bouncing up and down like a madman as I try to drive, which is making this very difficult. That's some shots. I'm also trying to avoid letting the foam that's on the wheel get like caught in like the gap between the wheel and the chassis, so it doesn't like jam it up. That's why I'm kind of trying to like drive backwards a bit to try and make sure it doesn't like get stuck, because that'd be a really terrible way to lose drive. Okay, nice shot there. Not a good shot there.
I'm trying to. Oh no!
Finally, the piece of the wheel falls off, so I can drive again.
My wheel's freed up. There we go. That's better.
So now I can kind of go a bit more ham, because again, he has no weapon, so I'm kind of free to just hit him. As long as I don't launch myself into the pit, I should be okay.
49 seconds remaining to the champion of Astros, Jordan
Trying to get pinned. Also, at this point in time, some of the latex that was on the wheel is actually now getting wrapped around the shaft, like the motor shaft that runs from the motor outside the chassis. It's like some of the latex is starting to get wrapped around that, and is kind of starting to like get trapped in like the hole that the shaft comes out of, which is a bit annoying, but I can fight through it. Yeah, that's why the left wheel starts to lock up a little bit, but I try to keep myself defensive and like aggressive. That seems to have freed it up a little. At this point, one of Jordan's wheels starts to like get cut off of like the hub that the rubber urethane is attached to. So that's why everyone starts cheering for me. There goes his wheel.
Three, 2, 1.
Yeah, hold on. So yeah. Fight ends, and I am given the victory by a judge's decision. Which means that I, for the second time ever, I mean, well, Florine for the second time ever gets first place. Ta-da! I I have no words. Like the video doesn't really pick it up. Like this video specifically doesn't really pick it up. But like after this fight, like all the UF people who were watching, like because all the UF team were watching the fight, all of them just started cheering. Like I think there was like cheering from like pretty much everybody, which felt even more bizarre. Like I, I don't have words. I just don't. It was just so weird, but kind of cool, but weird, I guess, to be in that position. So yeah, managed to win the judge decision, and so I had first place. Um, yeah, Jordan did a good amount of damage. Like, if you let me look. Okay, so there is like where he hit me when when Jordan like got hit at like an angle and started like jar everywhere. I think he got like a glancing shot on the weapon support, as you can see there, and left like a honestly ridiculously flat. Like this is basically perfectly smooth um cut of the weapon support. Also, thanks for the congratulations. I appreciate that. When was our first ever pony blew us to bits? Ah, jeez, that's gotta suck. Oof. No problem. Thanks, Junkyard Dog, for the congrats. And yes, there were a lot of horizontals at this event. There were like, man, there were like a lot of scalar kits. Yeah, just a lot of scalar kits. I'm surprised I didn't actually face a single one. That was, I think, luck. So anyway, Jordan also. Oh wow, no. No, I don't actually protect my wires from anything. They're just like this because, yeah. I'm gonna fix this. For the next iteration of flooring, I'm gonna have like a differently designed weapon frame that's gonna have a bit of a wide spot here. That's gonna allow me to pass the wires through them like a hole, and I'm gonna pass the wires under here and thread them back to this hole in the back of the in the front of the chassis. That's the hope, and that'll hopefully fix that'll solve like most of the wires being exposed. I know that this area here it is unavoidable that the wires are going to be kind of exposed because there's a hole there that the wires have to come out of. But yeah, hopefully it'll make them more protected. My frame, the weapon frame, is made out of aluminum. I forget actually how thick it is. It's hold on, I have a ruler right here. Let me check. It's 4.7 millimeters of aluminum. It's pretty dang cheap and it's pretty dang strong, so it works for me. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Okay, so also, Jordan hit me at least, I want to say, 3 or 4 times directly on the motor. Like there's like a bit of damage there from where he grazed me. There's this also hole right there. That's a new one from Jordan, right on the can or stator, whatever. Yeah, it's the can, I think, or rotor. There's that big gouge right there that took a bit out of the bolt that screws the weapon onto the motor. And I think that's it for damage that was done to the weapon motor, but the weapon motor took like several direct hits and was still working. So I definitely I must have made the right decision in switching to a hub motor. Weapon itself, this is I use this exact same weapon in all 6 of my actual fights, and it is pretty much undamaged. Like there's a little bit of it's all good, don't worry. There's a little bit of chipping out like the tooth, but it looks pretty much identical aside from the paint being chipped, which I usually just repaint after events or at the event actually because I have a paint pen with me. So, and also there's obviously the wheel which I'm gonna have to replace, but it's still in good shape. Like, I could probably throw this thing into the arena, and I'd probably Flooring probably still works actually, like, perfectly well. Like, even after the fight, the only thing I did to the robot after that was I removed this wheel and took out, like, the latex that was stuck and kinda jamming the shaft, and then I put the wheel back on, and I have not done anything else to this robot since. Like, it will probably still work if I put in, like, in a test box. Yeah, the hub motors for repeat robotics are amazing. Like, I highly recommend using them if you're making, like, a kinetic energy weapon. I think someone on the team actually asked about the motor I was using as well, and they might make the switch to using this motor as well. Okay. So that was the event. uh it was for chlorine, it was a bit of a disappointment, I won't lie, because I was pretty excited to show it off and have it work, but it didn't. But I did learn a lot about this. Actually, I have chlorine right here. And, he's in kind of rough shape. I mean, the wheels are probably fine. Like, this wheel even feels fine, even though it locked up. But yeah, I removed the weapon. But, I mean, aside from that, I am proud of one thing. Chlorine took a bit of abuse from the Junkyard Dog Drum Spinners of Death, and it's pretty much intact. Like, it's not really that damaged. Like, there's a bit of a chewed up thing here, and like some of the carbon fiber got a bit of a bite taken out of it, and that. But honestly, this held up. If the weapon worked, I'd probably be in pretty good shape, I think. So yeah, that's something I'm gonna fix. But I do have a plan. Again, I'm gonna basically I'm gonna make the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use a smaller weapon on this robot. Also get a new ESC and weapon motor because I trashed both of them. I think I just got rid of the ESC because I was told also really wasn't that good. So I'm gonna get a new one of those as well. Make sure it's all nice and good. And then I'm gonna use the weapon I already have because I have it. And use this for this robot, and eventually I will turn this thing into basically Thagomizer, but either small or big depending on how you look at it. Yeah. Oh, also just some more parts I ripped off of people. There's some parts from Skylift, the wheel thing, and also wheel from Jordan that came off. So I'm gonna put that in probably back at my house on like a shelf or something. But yeah, so chlorine, I have a lot planned for it. It's gonna actually work next time, and hopefully put a better fight. As for fluorine, like the only thing I really need to fix is the wires on top of the frame. Thanks, Junkyard Dog. Also, thanks for thinking I did a good job at the recap. I'm still kind of new at this. So fluorine. I'm probably gonna just print the new chassis that looks exactly like this one. Like I made like a slight change in order to save a little bit more weight because the inside of this robot has like weird support stands for the drive motors, which aren't really actually that useful. So I got rid of those, and I'm also making the hole at the front a bit smaller so that the antenna wire here doesn't poke out like it does sometimes because that's kind of bad. And I'm also, of course, going to make a better weapon frame so I can route these wires underneath the actual support rail, and so they won't be at risk anymore of getting like sliced, because that is a risk, and you should not do this. Make sure your weapon wires are protected. So aside from that, I can't really think of anything else I want to talk about. See if the stop sharing works. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of it. Lots of lessons learned. St. Lucie was loads of fun. I forgot to show off the trophy I got, which is pretty cool. Gonna even came to a little stand, which I think is awesome. So yeah, good event overall. I think Chlorine didn't do that well, but I'll come back bigger, better. Fluorine won, obviously. And yeah, that's kind of it. So I'm gonna probably sign off for now, and I will see all of you at whatever event comes next that I can get to. And yeah, so that's kind of all I want to talk about. This is Darren Catalane with Team Howard Robotics signing off for now. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see y'all next time. See you next time too, Junkyard Dog. Yes, end the stream. There we go.